Here we are on YouTube. And I've got another special guest. It is Jane with me, the designer of the ball pit, the inspiration for this cube, the inspiration for so many cubes right now. How do you feel to be the cube designer du jour right now?
It's it's definitely it's very fun because I'm seeing a lot of people having fun with the varieties of cube I enjoy playing. Seeing a lot of people bubbling with excitement for, new varieties of cubes. It's also definitely stolen valor. I'm not the first person to have made a no deck building cube or, pioneer certain things about desert cubes that people are like, "Whoa, ball pit's fun because blank," and I'm like, "Cool, I actually wasn't the person that came up with that, but I'm glad you experienced it through the ball pit first." So yeah, it's very fun. I'm really enjoying, for example, take five people exploring the desert low or no deck building phase. What I am hesitantly looking forward to is I know people are going to make cubes where the back side of every single card is a different card.
Mm-hmm.
There's 30,000 possible cubes out there with that as an option.
I could rule a few out.
Almost
I could
every
rule a few
single
out
one
right
of them
now.
is. What'd you say?
So I could rule a few out right now if we just wanted to start
Yeah,
chipping
almost
away at
every
those.
single one of them is absolute ass.
Yeah.
But there's a few real special possibilities out there, and those just take a lot of commitment,
Yeah.
because it's kind of weird to build a cube with that as this thing. But people are gonna do it. I know um, that one of the mini Joes in the MTG Cube Talks Discord has already taken the ball pit and just made it chromatic star on the back, which was a card I considered when I was, playtesting it. It's a better card. It lets you do more fun sacrifice
I think some
things,
things a lot
which is
better.
normally fun sacrificey things are very much up my alley, but it wouldn't be the ball pit if
No.
it were
The
chromatic
star pit?
stars on the
The
back.
star
So
pit? Come
yeah,
on.
star pit, yeah,
Doesn't nearly have the same ring to it.
yeah. You
Um
have to call it like Super Mario Galaxy and then lean into that variety of dumbness.
you could call it the Starfield or something.
Good.
Uh
Yeah.
yeah. Um, cool. I think people watching these videos know what they are at this point, but just to say, I'm documenting the full design process of a new cube, and I would say people have asked me like, "Oh, how close is it to being done?" And obviously, it's never going to be done, but I would say we're like a solid, maybe like a third of the way until to the point that I would consider like ordering some cards, which I'm not done yet. So we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. This cube has no deck building or very minimal deck building, as Jane insinuated, as inspired by the ball pit. You get to draft a normal 3x15, and you get to make only 5 cuts from your deck and play the remaining 40. It is a desert cube. You do not get to take any basic lands out of the land box. I proposed that we start with Isochron Scepter. Actually, can we? Let me Can you possibly turn it down a little more? I just know it's going to bother everybody in the video as much as it's bothering me right now to hear the echo.
Yeah,
Okay. How's it sound now? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. The echo is gone. You've done it. I propose potentially starting with Isochron Scepter as a jumping off point. Does that feel like a reasonable place to jump off to you?
Isochron Scepter is a very fun card. I'm here for it. Also, we got to keep the ball rolling on 2 mana value artifact videos.
I do want like a lot of the colorless cards to be the cool thing here. I am
Yeah.
totally sold on Sundial for this cube, and I think it's actually quite strong. And Isochron Scepter, you say it's a fun card. I would actually suggest that normally this card is not fun. In most cube environments, this card can be really, really frustrating. Someone sticks Swords of Plowshares under it, a counterspell under it, and then you just don't get to do a certain kind of thing for the rest of the game. And I think for a lot of people, it's developed a reputation for that reason as kind of like a toxic or maybe unfun cube card. But obviously, we have total control over what people can and cannot put under Isochron Scepter in this cube, so I think all we have to do is not put any frustrating cards in the cube alongside Isochron Scepter.
When I say Isochron Scepter is a fun card, I mean it's fun the way that like a snow day is fun, in that you're like,
So
oh
very
hell
fun.
yeah, a snow day, and you like look at it and it's beautiful. And when you're like a dumb kid and you don't care about anything in the world, it's the best thing that's ever happened because you're probably gonna like go out there and get a concussion, but you had fun. You built a snowman. It looked awesome. And then
Were you
as an
concussed
adult,
by a snowman growing up? Have you been assaulted by a snowman?
I've never had a concussion. No, maybe I haven't built enough snowmen yet, but I was too busy making snow creatures a la
Calvin
Calvin
and
and
Hobbes.
Hobbes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
made some real good things. But an adult looking at a snow day is usually just like, fuck, I'm gonna be late to work. Oh, am I even supposed to cuss on these? Because
I think
this
it's
is going
fine.
on YouTube.
I think it's fine. I
Okay,
don't know.
yeah.
I don't care. Swears in this one. I'll put it in the description so people can avoid it if they want. Um, so yeah, you're right. It can be fun. It also can be a little bit rough. Do you want to start with cards we're going to add to support it, or do you want to start with cards we should possibly remove from the main deck from the list already that are maybe bad with it?
Um, I think we should just start by you talking about why you're interested in Isochron Scepter.
Oh, great. Uh, I'm interested in Isochron Scepter for this cube because obviously this is a cube where you are going to end up with a bunch of cards that you didn't necessarily intend on putting in your deck because you get only 5 cuts, so you're going to have to play some cards you otherwise wouldn't normally want to main deck. And one of the big constraints is going to be that your cards are going to be hard to cast. And the level 1 thing that is appealing about Isochron Scepter is that it makes any instant, mana value 2 or less, cost colorless mana. So now you can play an off color, or maybe you have a instant that is a rare thing to splash, right? Like you have a couple sources to splash it, but it's not easy to cast for your deck. Maybe it's double pipped or something. And now it becomes colorless, which is appealing for me, just in sort of offering players tools to make otherwise sideboard cards into main deck cards. And I think Isochron Scepter is one little sort of brick to build that house of potentially allowing you to play weird cards in your deck. It's the same thing as like, it's very similar to Sundial in that I want people to look at it and go, gosh, this seems like it could be really bad. Like it often does nothing, right? Isochron Scepter does nothing if you have no instants in your hand, obviously. Sundial of the Infinite does nothing unless you have some reason to want to end the turn early. But I want people to then look at their pool and be like, actually, it turns out a few more of these things are instants than I thought. And maybe we even put ways in this edit for people to find instants to put them into their hand. You know, I love Mystical Teachings. It's very easy to get me excited about Mystical Teachings, so we could potentially talk about something like that. And just discover that, like, okay, Isochron Scepter is actually kind of like begrudgingly playable. I'm aiming for most people to think this card is begrudgingly playable in most of their decks, and very occasionally for it to pop off. That is my, like, ideal sweet spot.
That I feel like is a good ideal for it.
So, where should we start with regards to things to change? Cuts from the main list or additions from outside?
The first thing I just want to point out is that adding in Isochron Scepter immediately gives you a fairly deterministic 3-card combo with, where is that?
Sundial and Final Fortune?
Exactly, yeah.
That is so cool.
Which
I'm happy. I love it.
I think that's the goal. You know, honestly, you're doing the Sundial thing, you're doing the Final Fortune thing. Why not also do the Isochron Scepter thing with it? And I especially think that's hilarious just because Isochron Scepter with Final Fortune is so stupid.
Yeah.
Unless you have something else for it. So that I think is a perfect boundary line, I guess, of something that's obviously broken if you are assembling 3 unique cards out of your deck and other people are going to be picking up other cards. And, you know, Sundial, given how much the current iteration of this list has leaned heavily into magical Sundial land, that's a pack 1 pick 1 card 100%. So I don't think that's a thing that needs to be worried about consistently. But, you know, a 3-card combo like that, I feel like that's something that is very much up this cube's alley. Whereas, you know, sticking Counterspell, the original one, or Hymn to Turok, or Swords to Plowshares, or something like that under it might not be quite as much up the alley of this cube, where you're trying to be a little bit scrappier than that.
Just because I know YouTube commenters are going to say it, Hymn is a sorcery, and people
Oh,
often
sorcery,
think you can put sorceries under Isochron Scepter.
I just look at Magic cards.
Yeah, it's a very common misplay of people thinking they can put sorceries on Isochron Scepter. I see this all the time in our local play group when Scepter's in a cube. People just like, oh yeah, I put Time Walk under it. And it's like, You actually, is time walk? Time walk's a sorcery, right? Yeah, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and this is actually like poses an interesting theoretical question, which we can get into if we want, which is, my vision for this cube is somewhere between uh rules morass that results in like really weird, unique combo decks being the dominant thing, and an absolute janky low power environment where you're just like playing 5 mana 3/3s or 5 mana 4/4s and winning that way. And as I've been iterating on it, I think I have just hewn closer and closer to that. This is a like degenerate, weird, like you have to know all these weird rules interactions kind of combo environment. And like if it turns out that like every draft someone's putting together Sundial, Final Fortune, uh, Isochron Scepter, that is probably not what I'm looking for. I want that to be a thing that comes up every once in a while, and I want that to be seated in there as a thing that like people can discover for themselves. I don't want it to be like part of the impression of the cube that like, oh yeah, that's the best deck, this like weird 3-card combo deck. So no idea where we are actually landing on that spectrum currently, but just to say that is like a thing that is on my radar as like I don't know exactly where I want to land with regards to how good those kinds of decks are.
I mean, I think of it, one of my favorite cards in this list is Power Matrix. I want this to be a cube where you can run Power Matrix.
Absolutely.
And that is a good other bound because every single deck can run Power Matrix. It's colorless. Technically, I don't think there's a creatureless deck in this cube right now.
Girl, I got no idea. I don't know anything about this cube.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't look at the list itself as much as I could in favor of, slapping all of the legal Isochron Scepter targets into Scryfall and just like blazing through.
You did your homework? You did homework?
Fast as possible. What'd you say?
You did homework for this?
Yeah, I did homework for the 45 minutes prior to this.
That is so kind of you. I did not expect that. Yeah, I don't.
Isochron Scepter, honestly, I can add a selfish element to it, which is just Isochron Scepter is one of those cards where I just forget about the fact that there are new Isochron Scepter cards. And then I'll go look at new Isochron Scepter cards and realize, actually, I'm a way better Magic designer and also just a way more freaky Magic designer now than I used to be. I need to look at all the old Magic cards that fit under this too. And then I'll go look and I'll find, a bunch of interesting cards. Because I mean, as someone who doesn't really work much in the Power Max space, most of the cards I want to slap under an Isochron Scepter are a little bit funky.
Yeah, I want to get funky with it too. But yeah, to your point,
right.
I do not want to power creep Power Matrix out of this cube. That is a good sort of bar to keep in mind. If Power Matrix can't hang, then we're doing something wrong. And I will say, adding Isochron Scepter and Power Matrix also makes me think, do I want ways to untap artifacts in this cube? Because untapping either of those could be very cool, just saying. So, food for thought.
That, we can talk about the first card that I want to mention off of that, which is, I feel like this is a cube where you are comfortable with a drafter ending the draft and feeling like they got trapped. Meaning, there are a lot of things that you can do in this cube that, I guess trap isn't really the right word. There are a lot of things you can do in this cube.
I think you're right. I mean, I think I'm planning on pitching this cube as like, if you see a card and you want to know if its iconic combo is in the cube, the answer is probably not, and you have to do something funkier with it. Like, we've got Dreadnought, no Stifle. We've got Kiki, no Exarch, Pestermite or whatever. And so I don't know. I think it's pretty safe to say like Isochron Scepter Counterspell falls in the same camp, I think.
Yeah, because with that in mind, humorously, I look at this list and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do any of the things that are like actually busted with Isochron Scepter in this list. The card I immediately want to add to this list is Dramatic Reversal, because those two cards, they're only an infinite combo if you have other ways of making mana. And
right now, I'm not sure there are any, maybe?
So in your maybe board, I think, I don't know if it's maybe board or main board, but someone recommended that Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Okay, it's in the sideboard. If you have like if you have Vizier of Tumbling Sands, and since you have lands that tap for 2 mana, those are ways to get enough mana just to keep doing the thing. Which if you have an activated ability with a tap, that's an infinite. But that's a 3 or 4 card combo. Also, currently Vizier's in the sideboard, so
That poses a question I
I
actually
don't.
have for you. So Vizier
Yeah,
and the card I actually more would want to include here would be Fate Stitcher. I love Fate Stitcher. I'm obsessed with that
Face
card.
Stitcher's sick as hell.
Um, both those cards do technically combo with Kiki. There were people in the last video that thought they were correcting me. They're like, "Oh no, because they'll all be tapped." But you can just do it on your opponent's end step and then untap and kill them. So it's
Yeah,
not as good because your opponent has sorcery speed, window to interact with either of those pieces. But it is still just a 2-card kill you combo, which I feel like is a bridge too far. How do you feel about Fate Stitcher, Kiki, Vizier, Kiki?
I just like being able to say there are no 2 card combos
Yeah.
that just win the game outright.
Yeah, I like being able to say that too, I
So
think.
as much as I do adore Vizier and Fate Stitcher, I don't think that I would put them in with Kiki in, and I think right now Kiki is fun and resonant enough on its own, and a good sundial card that I think it should stay in.
I'm going to do a real quick here and just see if we can look at cards. There's so many things like a Pheto Alchemist and things that will untap creatures or artifacts. So we've got like Clock of Omens, Filigree Sages. The keys would do it, obviously. Any of the keys. Galvanic Key is so funny as like the 3-dragon meme of Voltaic
Yeah.
Key and Manifold Key, and then Galvanic Key just back here being the funky head. I have always kind of liked Voltaic Servant too, just as like a fun callback to that. So yeah, maybe not a ton of ways to untap artifacts. I guess we could also search for untap target non-creature permanent. Is that a thing? Is that a thing any card does? Let's see what Scryfall has to say. Is non-creature not hyphenate? It's one word. Okay, very few. No. 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 Tap up to X non-creature artifacts, untap X non-creature artifacts. That's a funny one. Yeah, none of these cards really do the thing. Okay. So you like Dramatic Reversal here. And yeah, there's not currently... What would happen if you put Manamorphose under... Oh, you can't have both things under Isochron Scepter. That's dumb, Andy. I can't have both Dramatic Reversal and Manamorphose under. That's not how the card works. So
I mean, you could add in Panharmonicon or whatever.
what does a fair Dramatic Reversal look like here? What are we doing with that? Is it a good way to like ambush people in combat? Is it...
Yeah, baseline, it basically gives your creatures vigilance. It's I guess without um without having an Isochron Scepter out, it just is a card that is not great but does have some edge cases. You do have a decent amount of creatures in here with tap abilities. You can do a weird single nutty turn with Goblin Welder and
Or
ETB
Kiki Jiki.
effects.
Yeah, it's an instant another copy of whatever Kiki Jiki makes, which is kind of cool.
Exactly. Yeah. The single best thing you can do with it is it untaps your power matrix.
Incredible. We love this.
Yeah.
That's so good.
You can have a pretty crazy double Goblin
Veldin.
Charbelcher turn.
Okay. I think Dramatic Reversal
Birthing
definitely...
Pod twice in a turn. I don't know. These are just funny little things.
Pod twice is actually kind of interesting too. This is like, in some ways, Dramatic Reversal is the kind of card that I want people to be like, oh, what the heck does this even do? Like, I'm in blue, but do I even want to play Dramatic Reversal? And then look at their list and find, oh, actually, there are quite a few things that, do something with Dramatic Reversal. Emery does it too. Kind of cool with Emery. The 2 looters that tap, Dreamscape Artist, go crazy.
While the ability of tapping Sensei's Divining Top is on the stack, you can cast it and then do it again, and you'll get to draw 1 additional card. 2 mana draw card.
And untap all your other stuff that's not lands.
Yeah.
My only concern with it, and we don't have to decide about it right now. We're going to put a bunch of cards in a pile and look at them. But my only concern is I wonder if people will think this is like a 2-card combo, which it isn't. Like, the 2-card combo is just untap your stuff, including the Isochron Scepter. And even if you can generate mana, it's still not necessarily a 2-card combo. Then it's like, okay, you would need a way to generate more than 3 mana, or more than 2 mana, at least 3 mana with your other non-creature permanents, or other non-land permanents rather. And if you had that, then you could have infinite mana. But even then, that's still, we're looking at 3 cards now, and it's still not killing your opponent. It's just making infinite mana. So I don't think it actually is a 2-card combo, but does it have the je ne sais quoi of a 2-card combo from EDH, CEDH specifically?
That's why I brought it up immediately first as what I would consider a trap, in that a lot of drafters who are used to drafting environments, or, playing formats that would have that be possible, if they reach the end of a draft and they have both of them and they're like, Andy, I never frickin' saw anything that makes this combo off. And you're like, well,
or whatever, yeah.
I said at the start that there aren't combos, or that if you think there's one, that it doesn't work.
Not Panharmonicon, the banned one, the untap your stuff one, yeah.
Basalt Monolith, or...
I'm thinking of, what's the 5 mana one that's banned in Commander? Whenever you cast a spell, you untap all your stuff.
Oh, Paradox Engine.
I guess that also isn't a combo with it. It just does more of the same thing.
It just does more of the things, which is why it's banned in Commander, yeah.
Okay, let's put that in a pile and think about it. It sounds like you've done some homework. What
almost every single card I have is one that I recommend for your maybe board.
Great.
There's only some that I think are straight, whatever you call it.
We'll start laying them on you. What else you got for the maybe board?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Quick topic is modal double-faced lands. You already have a number of them.
I do.
There are a number of them that are 2 mana value or less instants.
True.
I think I already saw in your sideboard you have whatever the Boros one is that gives double strike.
I think it's actually in the main right now.
Is it? Okay.
No, it's in the sideboard. You're right.
Okay. Anyway, I know that...
No, it's in the main. Here it is.
The hard part about this cube is keeping it to 360, so that's a point. However, all of the... There's the blue one that gives your opponent's creatures -2, -0, Baying Veil. Let me just yoink all these into the chat.
I'm also just going to add them as you say them so I can pull up with the video.
There's 4 that I either remembered or stumbled upon that work with Isochron Scepter and are possibilities. You know me, I adore Revitalizing Repast. That might be the only one that I'm like, that needs to freaking go in because it's hybrid and it just has an amazing effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is a great point you're making, that the hard part is keeping this cube to 360, and so cards that are lands, that are also Isochron Scepter targets, that also do a third thing, is a good way to like just fill your deck with stuff. So also,
those are just like the most boring, safest options possible.
Right.
The only one of those that can get even vaguely oppressive is Baying Veil, giving opponent's creatures -2, -0, because that's something that every turn matters a lot. Dealing 1 damage every turn, putting a counter on a thing every turn, those are not nearly as spicy.
Yeah, depending on what your deck is doing. And right now, I don't think there is a go-wide deck here. Maybe there is. I have no idea. But depending on what your deck is doing, it can be very frustrating if this is basically like shutting down all your combat every turn, basically.
Yeah. One of the reasons those cards are so great, I say as someone who does not run modal double-face cards in anything, is just they give drafters fail-safes. And this is a cube where we're trying to make people do absolutely nutty stuff. But you don't want them to be completely kneecapped. And those cards double for that for the Isochron Scepter player, because Isochron player Scepter is often going to feel like they're trying to do one of the things the cube is trying to do by putting together these scrappy combos that aren't really combos because they're using a card like Nameless Inversion instead of Swords to Plowshares. And then, worst case scenario, putting Revitalizing Repast underneath it that's decent. That's still fun.
That's quite good. And keep in mind, we do have a whole like Baneslayer-y keyword soup archetype here. Yeah. So I think the +1/+1 counter is maybe in some decks worth a lot more than typically,
Yeah.
because you're putting it on something with double strike, or something with flying and trample or something like that.
Yeah, it's not irrelevant. I guess I like Revitalizing Repast way more than Fastwood Fortification, the one that just does a 1/1 counter. I mean, just perfect example of Modern Horizons power creep. But
Yep.
if the former goes in, the latter doesn't need to.
Yeah, and
So
this is power creep that
those,
I'm okay with. Realizing your pass is not going to be oppressive to anybody. It's
yeah,
just it does a lot of things maybe a little too good for for standard, but I don't think it's a
yeah,
problem. Yeah, I think ultimately there's probably gonna be a lot of these in here. I initially was also off the modal double face lands because I have, frankly, honestly, I actually really like the modal double face cards from Zendikar Rising. And then when they started putting non-lands on the
yeah,
back, I was like, "Here's poison the well for me." Now I hate them all.
yeah.
I don't want any of them. And I
The
genuinely
biggest,
think it's worse that like people have to look at it and like think, "Oh, is it a land on the back, or is it one of these ones that has like another fucking creature on the back?"
yeah,
But I think they are perfect for this cube. I do want Goblin Charbelcher to be possible, and they make
viable,
Charbelcher
yeah,
significantly better. So I think some combination of these is almost inevitably going to be in here eventually, and those might come in at the point where I am really thinking hard about like densities of things. I'm still not really at that
yeah.
point. Like I have not really looked at how much removal do I have. The only thing I'm keeping an eye on is just having enough lands that the cube functions. But beyond that, I think some of these more boring like bread and butter options will make an appearance when it is time to like make sure we have enough removal and have enough card draw or whatever.
A few more videos in, you can just do one 12-hour marathon video for charity that's just you doing the lands, because that's going to be an entire thing.
There's a lot to think about there.
Yeah. And one of the things to think about there is how much you're forcing your drafters to think about things, which
Yes.
double face cards
Which
are
you
definitely.
you learned of the way the hard way in the ball
yes,
pit. Yeah.
I'm very aware of that. I mean, honestly, like the uncommon double faced spell on the front, land on the back cards, I adore those. My tabletop cube, I don't run any double face cards in, so I can't touch any of those. Ball pit, I'm not interested in making 3-sided cards currently.
That's too much. Yeah, I agree.
That's just that's just a lot. And then the main issue for me is just most desert cubes I am either brewing or have in the works are unsleeved, and
All good reasons to avoid
that
double
complicates
face
things.
cards.
But this is the perfect environment for them, I think.
I kind of agree. I also just added the bounce lands with the sundial pattern, so being able to play them as lands, bounce it back late, and then have the spell side is very cool.
Very fun.
So they just have a lot going on. Let's go. What else you got on your list? I'm so
Okay, here
eager
we
to
go.
know.
Let's see. So I love cards that are good cards on their own.
I
And
love
they
good
are,
cards. Jane, 2025.
yeah, an unusual statement from me. I like cards that are good on their own and are kind of mediocre when you put them under Isochron Scepter. Because, first of all, I love anything with a card of the variety that Isochron Scepter is, where when you look at it at the face value, it just says, oh, do a thing you already do, and now it's just better. And where it breaks that. And where whatever you're doing is different because of the way that you're forced to do it. So an example of this is Epiphany at the Drown Yard. I will.
You don't have to put
that
them in the chat.
into-
I can just listen to you type them. You don't have to type them.
Say that again.
You don't have to put them in the chat if you don't want.
Okay.
I can't look at that and also look at you and also look at. There's too many things. So
I
I'm just
mean,
gonna type them as you say
I'll
them.
exclusively start reading cards now that's names are like Glorbos Blanc. And you are
Glorbos-
physically incapable of
Glorbos-
typing them in.
Glorpos Blanc OP.
Yeah, they banned that one like way back in the day. But anyway, Epiphany at the Drown Yard is a card that I just like for this cube generally. Has a cube that is graveyard interested, decision rich, little bit weird. And it can be pretty darn powerful late in the game in a cube that when something crazy doesn't happen early on, games will go pretty late. This is just a draw a buttload of cards card.
It never
Under
occurred to
Isochron
me.
Scepter,
yeah, it never occurred to
you
me. This
don't
is
get
just
to
draw a
choose
revealed
X.
card with we've cast it for X equals 0. You just reveal the top card, put it in your hand.
Yep. It's just a cantrip, but that your opponent gets to see. This is the sort of card that if I had Isochron Scepter in my deck, I would always be oh, I would always be happy to, after the first few turns of the game, have those two in my hand and just go. I would rather just do the thing now. Every turn, pay 2 mana, draw a card.
Hmm.
Isochron Scepter is still good in that deck when you draw your better cards, and Epiphany is still good in the deck if it's late game and you don't have Isochron Scepter. But combined, it's just a funny little. This is. I said that I like skimmed all of the legal targets for Isochron Scepter. The emphasis there is really on skim. I have zero patience for swagless cards, so there's a lot of cards in the list that probably are perfect for this, and I was just like, ass, horrible.
That's what I do too, and it's not perfect for
Universe
this.
Beyond.
If it's Universes Beyond or whatever, like that's the vibe's got to be good.
24 lines of text.
Yeah.
I'm not anything I'm interested in. But that's like an example piece. Let's see. Rules question that I remember knowing at some point and I've just straight up forgotten. Can you pay a kicker cost for a card that you're casting?
I believe you can.
Isochron Scepter.
I believe you can.
Because I know that you have to pay additional costs that are required.
Yeah. We had an interesting rules question last night. Yeah, you can pay for kicker if we trust Stack Exchange. We had an interesting rules question last night. I'm curious if you know the answer to this. I actually have not looked it up because we decided to just play what felt right to us and ignore the question. If I have a spell coming off of Suspend and my opponent controls a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, presumably I can just refuse to pay the 1 even though I have mana available? I feel
it's coming off of Suspend.
I feel like it just immensely gratified that you were also thinking about this, because part of me felt like I should know this immediately, and I was like, actually, I'm like 95% sure you can just not pay the 1, like, but Suspend just says cast it.
I'm not high enough judge level, being level 0, to answer that one. My initial thought was that you would have to.
Interesting.
If I let myself literally just Google the rules text of the resolution of Suspend, I think that would answer it. But I'm thinking that it's when it resolves, you may cast it without paying its mana cost.
Anthony also pointed out that I think the rules changed somewhat recently, such that Suspend is now actually a May, which kind of negates this whole question anyway.
I know it's a May.
Because I think it wasn't a May before, importantly, which is where it's interesting. Now that it's a May, like, if you were not going to pay the 1 anyway and have to spell it fizzle, you would just not cast it, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyway, interesting question we ran into.
That is an interesting one. Moral of the story, don't run Suspend cards unless you have Bones present.
Yeah, I actually this was someone else's cube I was playing, and I was playing Ancestral Vision, and I only ever drew it on turn 10. I was so mad at that stupid card. I was like, this card sucks. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. You're stupid. And that was the one time it ever came off Suspend in all 3 matches, and I intentionally wanted it to not resolve, or I was going to target Anthony with it, my opponent, because I was going to deck myself if it resolved, because it was so late in the game. I was like, this card sucks. I hate it. Anyway.
Was this the cube you were going in blind to?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this will actually...
That makes that more frustrating.
This is actually some forward sizzle for next week's podcast where we talk about it in more detail. But, what a thing.
Anyway.
I feel like you got, like, presents for me under the Christmas tree in this card list you have, and you're, like, very slowly rolling them out. You're, like, you're teasing me with them.
The slow roll, yeah. Okay, let's see. Epiphany, I didn't find a bunch of cards for, only 2 mana where I was like, this is playable under Isochron Scepter, but it's worse. I love the X spell interactions. Most X spells straight up just don't work.
Yeah, they do nothing
under Isochron Scepter. This one's saying, X plus 1 is what makes it work. Okay, let's see. The reason I brought up kicker cost was because I was pretty sure you could pay an additional kicker cost, but if you couldn't, this would count. I just love the card Inscription of Abundance. It's not a card that needs to go into this cube because, I'm a big fan of putting cards into a cube like this one that don't have a home elsewhere, and it has a lot of homes these days now that I think more people are realizing that it's kind of a sleeper hit and is pretty strong. Um, it's a card you could put on the maybe board if you're ever like green players are not feeling like they can do enough other than either try to do something funky or not play green.
Hey,
In which
you can
case,
get to
it just
6
gives them a little
mana,
bit of
and
a
you can play this with the Dreadnought Sacrifice activation on the stack. Then you get to gain 12 life, and also destroy a creature by hitting it for 12, no matter
yeah.
what. That's something.
Designing stuff with this cube is super fun because any card, Andy's just like, oh well, if you already are doing the dreadnought thing, then this makes it so much better because the fact that it gives something 1 power means that you're flinging for 13 instead of 12. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next category. I love cards under Isochron Scepter that have um, a required additional cost that you
Yeah.
have to pay.
Yeah.
So, uh, let's see. Extremely popular cube card, Village Rites, is an example of that. That's just super simple.
Yep.
1 mana, draw 2 cards, but you have to sacrifice a creature. That's a card that I feel like every cube designer I talk to who has designed a lot of cubes is instantly just like, yes, this is a Village Rites cube, or no, this is not a Village Rites cube, because it's strong, it's simple. Some people don't like that. That is the like base case card of just kind of just a fun example. Now for the more fun ones that I think are interesting of additional cost cards. One of my favorite planar chaos cards, of which there are a bunch, is Imp's Mischief. Change the target of target spell with a single target. You lose life equal to that spell's converted mana cost. That is a card that I would play on its own.
You would. You just main deck this happily.
I just that is the part of my brain that likes having fun, that wants to run and that likes good art and that likes catching people off guard because they are assuming that I'm going to play a fair, low to the ground, no nonsense deck, and then I Imp's Mischief them and they're like, come on.
Wait, you think I'm going to Doomblade you? Actually, I'm going to make you counter your own spell.
Exactly, because when you have Imp's Mischief in your hand, it functions the way that like Mana Tithe functions in a lot of cubes, where it does nothing or it does a lot.
Sure, yeah.
Under Isochron Scepter, it's a completely different card. Under Isochron Scepter, I have a 2-card combination that just says most of my permanents have pseudo hexproof for the first spell cast a turn.
Yeah.
That's an entirely different experience. That's something your opponent can play around. That's something that just adds texture to a game. That's something that often doesn't do anything still. So Imp's Mischief it's a maybe board card, I think, but
they could just decide to try and kill you with the life loss from Imp's Mischief.
Exactly, yeah. It is really fun to just, in a cube like this one, where there isn't a ton of straight up easy removal, to just say, oh, you're gonna have your Dreadnought slip out the back. Nope. Instead of stopping their removal, you stop the thing that they're doing that is a little bit more on the degenerate end of things that this cube can do. Or it's a good, I feel like it's a good answer to some of the things in this cube that can get a little bit nutty. You can also redirect a Goblin Charbelcher target with it.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, it's a card to think about, and then see if that is interesting.
I will say I'm a little lower on this. I mean, this is the kind of weird card I'm happy to like highlight here. The fact that this one doesn't really care about what's in your deck, but only cares about what's in your opponent's deck, makes it a little less interesting to me, because you just kind of have to get lucky that your opponent has something to do with it. Whereas if this was like a card that was, equally, sometimes unplayable and sometimes really cool and powerful, but it hinged on what was in your deck, I'd be more interested, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that is a good reminder for me. I feel like I saw. Yes, if Isochron Scepter goes into the cube, I don't think Deflecting Palm can go into the cube. That's in the maybe board.
Yeah,
that
a little much.
I saw very few cards in this list that I was like, I do not think I would allow as the designer that to be a thing that you can do. Um, that is one of them.
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, two interesting cards. There's not a lot of counter spells in
Real quick,
this.
before we change
Yeah.
subject, can I ask you your opinion on Plum the Forbidden versus Village Rites in this context?
Is Plum the Forbidden the Strixhaven one that
Oh, right. You can't see my screen. I forgot about that.
yeah.
Maybe let me share my screen with you. Uh, that makes so much more sense now as to why you
No,
were.
I've got Scryfall open. I'll just
No. I mean, it's just when you were like earlier. That's gonna mess that up. So I gotta pin this. Okay. Can you see now?
uh yes, I can.
Okay. Cool. Oh, but your video went
I'm
away.
gonna need to reset. I can see your screen. I'm still gonna be pulling things up. Yes, Plum the Forbidden is the Strixhaven one. Uh, this is a perfect example of a card that I don't have a great analysis for in my head for a cube like this because for most combo forward environments like 100 Ornithopters, I'm like, I love it. It's a little bit weirdly wordy, but I think that's great. Um, for one like this where it's often just going to be played fairly straight up, I haven't built up in my head an idea of how good it would be. Um, I my gut says I just like Village Rites better. The Village Rites has a much higher floor and a lower ceiling, and for a card that is mostly just a
You think Village Rites has a
value
higher
card.
floor, or Plum the Forbidden has a higher floor?
I said that. Oh, I guess technically Plum the Forbidden you can just cast without having any creatures out.
Right. The
So
floor on Village Rites
yeah.
is uncastable.
And this is a very creature light cube actually.
It is right now. Yeah.
Yeah, which that's a whole other point. But um, yeah, I would say for without Isochron Scepter being in the list, and with it being a creature light list, I would say run Plum the Forbidden instead. Um, I don't. Yeah, I guess that's my
Okay.
that's
I was
my
just curious what
only
your impression was.
thought on it. Yeah, Plum the Forbidden is more interesting. I'll definitely give it that.
I tend to like it more because what I don't love about Village Rites is like the insane swinginess of it. Because
Yeah,
1 mana draw 2, and also your opponent's removal spell is, I mean, to say it's countered, it doesn't really matter because you also got rid of the thing that they were going to destroy anyway. But
yeah,
that play pattern feels like very swingy. And Village Rites, I'm not Village Rites, Plum of Forbidden at least is like, okay, well, it's got a floor of like. What I don't like about the Village Rites thing is like, oh, I made your card better because I had a removal spell. Like, your card was going to be
yeah,
either you weren't going to cast it or you were going to cast it and sacrifice a token and, have to like, just get some edge value off of it. But now you just get like free value off of the fact that I'm playing removal, which is still somewhat true of Plum of Forbidden, but it's just like kind
it's
of
a different
leveled off a little
axis.
bit. Yeah.
You don't have a bunch of. Do you have any traditional board wipes in this cube?
No, not right now.
Okay. Yeah.
I might someday. I
Um,
don't know.
I play a lot of board wipe heavier environments other than ball pit, and Plum the Forbidden kind of has the opposite effect in that one, where it just bones the board wipe deck. But yeah, I like it. I think I like Plum the Forbidden on vibes here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else you got?
What else I got? Oh yeah, two cards in a similar vein. I was saying you don't have a lot of counter spells in here. Two counter spells that I have recently been having a lot of fun with in low powered environments, which is partially because I love modern border cards and have been playing with a lot of cards in that frame, are Deprive and Familiar's Ruse.
Okay.
Both are blue counter target spell.
Yeah, with return something, right?
straight up counterspell. One returns a land, one returns a creature. I they're just very texturally rich cards. I don't know if you want to lean more into counterspells in this cube. They are an example of counterspells that work under Isochron Scepter that are not necessarily ideal. In a creature like cube, deprive often just like won't work under Isochron Scepter if you just don't have enough creatures. I like both of them just on rate in cubes that both, for example, have some interesting lands things where you might actually want to return land to your hand, and also have some, there's some fun returning creatures to your hands things that you can do as well. They're definitely just maybe board options, but I think that they make people think about what they're doing in a way that a traditional counterspell doesn't.
Yeah, I definitely like them a lot more than regular counterspell here for sure. I wonder if, like, I'm thinking specifically of Deprive. That one especially, I don't know how much less toxic it is in that sort of like end game scenario than just straight up counterspell, because you're just going to play the land every turn that you're going to bounce, and so it's like you're losing sort of gaining momentum on land drops. But if you played that on like turn 5 or 6 or something, your opponent is probably going to feel equally as hopeless. But
yeah, both of them, now that I'm looking at the list, I might retract, because you do have a lot. Despite being creature light, most of the creatures are pretty low mana value. So, I mean, late game, that's basically the same for Familiar's Ruse.
at least it's like, more than just your free land drop. You got to like spend some other mana on a creature and still hold up Isochron Scepter mana. But yeah.
What I'm actually saying, I think, is I looked at both of these cards and I thought these look like take 5 cards. I don't think they actually should go in if Isochron Scepter is in.
Sure. Yeah. Totally fair.
Okay, anyway. Those are in your brain. I think I have 2 more in this like backup costs idea. Vengeful Dreams.
It's the first card you've said so far that I don't know what that one does.
The whole Vengeful cycle, there's one for each.
I know the other ones. I don't know this one. Ooh, it's just like a big source of plowshares kind of thing.
I adore everything about this. Mark Tadine art.
This is very cool.
It is technically card negative.
Yeah, for sure.
On rate, but
especially if you spent this and the Isochron Scepter to put it into play. Like now, in order to exile 2 creatures, you have spent 4 cards on it, basically.
Yeah, this under Isochron Scepter I love because that is 2 cards. Yeah. Every card in your hand becomes 2 mana, exile an attacking creature.
Well, but you could discard any number, so you could like the mana is variable. Like you could.
I mean, yeah, it scales from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a card that if you're okay with it outside of Isochron Scepter,
I think I definitely
also
am.
a fun removal spell that works well with Isochron Scepter.
It's a discard outlet too, which I have all across the cube, but are also somewhat harder to come by in white. And
it's double pips, but it's also pretty strong despite all of the drawbacks. I think double pip is good.
I like that it's double pip. I think it's like I'm into double pip cards or like high devotion cards in here. Like we haven't talked about cards that are in the list already that I'm excited about for the Isochron Scepter, but Brought Back is definitely one of them. I think Brought Back Isochron Scepter is very cool.
Brought Back, I spent a lot of time thinking about Brought Back because that is the perfect sort of card that I want to put under Isochron Scepter in a scrappy cube, which is that you've committed 2 cards and it still doesn't do anything, but there's a lot of options.
It could do all kinds of things. Just imagine.
Yeah, you could do everything.
I'm just remembering I have a copy of it. I'm gonna put it in my pile of cards that I'm considering for this cube. If I haven't already, maybe I've already done that. Brought Back I think is sick. But yeah, so I think Vengeful Dreams is actually very cool here. I'm trying to think of like worst case scenario, like if your opponent is spending a card for every creature you control plus 2 more cards to exile all your creatures I don't think you can be mad about that.
I mean,
That is
late game,
so bad on
late
rate.
game, it's an expensive settle the wreckage. Like that's
Really expensive. Like
yeah.
all the cards it costs is crazy. Um,
The reason I say late game is just because I mean this is a cube where there's a lot of decks that really aren't gonna care about how many lands they have on the battlefield after like 4.
Interesting. Okay. I have no
So
idea, but I trust your assessment.
yeah, I mean that's me spitballing, looking at the list. But I think there are a lot of decks that will not have much to do beyond 4 because as long as they have one untapped land in their hands that they can play the 2/5 drops in their deck late game when they draw a 5 drop, they can just keep basically every land they have that they don't have a use for in their hands to feed discard outlets like this one. So I do see games where both people look like they're stalling with a grip full of 4 cards. One person thinks they have enough stuff, they can take it, they swing, 3 creatures get exiled. But that's like, first of all, that is the less likely use of this card. Second of all, I'm like, I don't know, if that happens, that player deserved it. That's just a thing that happens in Magic.
This is the first one that I feel comfortable just windmill slamming into the main deck. I think this is definitely
Yeah.
Eventful Dreams
I think
cube.
I think it's a good fit.
All right.
Okay.
That's a heater. That's a good find, McKinney.
Let's see. Very generic recommendation, but just a card that I love is Perilous Research.
I do also love Perilous Research. It's also just bad. I put that main deck by accident. I love the art on it a lot.
It's one of few cards where I love. It's one of very few cards where it has 2 modern border printings that I love both of.
I love the
original Modern Masters print and the Cold Snap art. Both are very good and both fit into different aesthetic.
This one is so much cooler to me, I think. This like monk getting his head all water sliced.
Yeah.
This one I don't love. I've actually never seen this printing before, and it doesn't do it for me. But
I love that goofy vibe.
It's weird because it's just like a blue Village Rites, but sacrifices another thing. And the fact that it does it on resolution is weird and can matter sometimes instead of doing it as part of an additional cost. Like, it can make it better. Like, this is much better against Counterspell than Village Rites because you didn't already sacrifice your stuff. You have to get to draw the cards first.
I don't think it's likely. I know it's not a windmill slam, but it's a fun card.
I think it's cool. I'm into it.
Okay, moving on. Let's see. You allow deck searching in this cube, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's going to be some deck searching.
Yep. I really like Evolution Charm. Both in a non-Isochron deck and especially in an Isochron deck. Because the things that it does in an Isochron deck are either not super unfair, or you have to like really the only unfair thing you can do is if you have a really easy way to get creatures into your yard that
and
get
a good
you a bunch of value, and then you
yeah.
just beat that. But that's unlikely. I like that it fixes for other colors but isn't direct ramp. I think that's good in this cube. Giving creature flying, that's kind of the flavor text here. But I mean, even then, not entirely. There are, for example, given that there aren't a lot of flying creatures in this cube, there are times where you're just going to be like, I really want my 1-mana 12/12 to crash in for 12 this turn, and literally giving a creature flying, that's one of the flight is from the first Magic set ever printed. That's a thing that when it happens, it really happens.
Yeah, it's to be determined how hard basic lands are going to be to come by here. That's something I've figured out is really hard to test against the Cube Cobra bots, which take basic lands very, very highly, even after they've already got them and even when they're off color.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm at like between 9 to 12 of each, and that's so far from having that decision locked in.
Yeah.
But that will, I think, be a big factor in this thing's viability. I don't have a sense for that yet.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. Okay. Time for a funky one.
Yeah.
Narset's Reversal.
Okay, that is a funky one. That's a counterspell technically, but not
It is.
not one that is going to like lock you out of the game.
So, Narset's Reversal.
Oh, this is actually not what I thought it
On,
was. I was
Narset's
thinking of
Reversal is a card where, on its own, I think that it might be low enough on its own that it's not worth running, but
mhm,
I find it very fun under Isochron Scepter. Um, it's I think that it's the definition of a floor too low, ceiling too high card.
probably.
Um,
I'm just imagining your
but I
opponent
do think it's a
never
card that
casting a
just
spell
should
into
sit
it.
in the maybe board list for future thinking. Because it is exactly the sort of scrappy card that, even Isochron Scepter aside, has some fun things with, and I think just sitting in the maybe board, someone other than me who knows way more about how this card is actually used. The only times I've ever cast it have been like in a Urza CEDH deck, and it only does a few things there. There's someone out there who probably knows of a fun way to use it if there is more fun ways to use it.
Yeah, I just see this and I think, okay, well, I put this under Isochron Scepter. Now my opponent never casts an instant or sorcery for the rest of the game because that just gives me a
Yeah.
free copy of it. And so it feels almost like a lock piece that then has the occasional upside of like you could copy your own instance or your sorceries if you didn't want to hold it up on your opponent's turn. You wanted to give up that lock piece. But um, yeah, this is a good time to mention the fact that like I have a massive maybe board on this cube, and some people might think like, why are you doing this? Why are you collecting all these cards in the maybe board? And it's because of the thing you just alluded to, which is that I can now filter right now by things that get things Isochron Scepter can hit and see things that I can't type and also talk and not be typing when I'm talking. I can use this now basically like, okay, well, these are cards I thought of before for some reason. Like, Fling came up before talking about Dreadnought, or, Turn the Earth has come up talking about like putting in some weird, incremental Grave Hate that also can like be a card for like the Hermit Druid decks that like mill themselves out. Like these cards have come up in other sort of contexts, but not made the main deck. But now that they're in the maybe board, now perhaps the addition of Isochron Scepter like gives them the edge, which is why I do it this way. So by means of explaining my cube design process, that is why that is that. And you're right.
Speaking of maybe board, because as you have been talking and looking at it, I have been scrolling over it again. As a brief digression from Isochron Scepter, I see here that, well, I immediately saw Eldrazi Conscription, which is just one of my favorite cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not spent the time looking for too much of a cheat package, but I see that you have Arcanum wings, Arcanum, however it is, wings in here. And I do not see in your white creatures Nomad Mythmaker. Or Nomad Dream? I think it's Nomad Mythmaker.
Yeah, that's what you're
Okay.
talking about. Yeah, there's definitely a like
Yes.
aura
Yeah.
cheating package or the beginnings of it in the maybe board, but there's nothing in the main deck that would fit with that at all as of yet. But
Yeah.
maybe someday there will be a package in there.
I just like Eldrazi Conscription. Okay.
I love it.
Anyway, Narset's Reversal. It's ass, but maybe in the future. Okay. Moving on. Hmm. So I haven't recommended much creature removal because that's just punishing in a way that is not always nice. Um, a card that I'm not sure if I actually prefer it in the list with or without Isochron Scepter is Reality Shift. I I think that's a fun card in this cube without Isochron Scepter.
You will occasionally get
Given that there
very
isn't,
punished by casting it. You will occasionally
yeah,
manifest your opponent's Dreadnought or Eater of Days or something, which is
exactly, which I think is hilarious and the perfect use for it. However, I don't. I think with Isochron Scepter, it goes from a cute downside removal card to punishing.
I'm honestly not sure. I feel like I guess you could continue to
Because,
exile the thing you manifested, and so it would never
but
get to
like
hit you.
honestly, it is a creature like cube. Giving them an army of 2/2s.
No, I think giving them an army of two, like giving them 2/2s for all their
Yeah,
creatures is a massive downside. I think you will probably just lose
yeah.
that game unless you have a plan for all those 2/2s. So I don't think
But
this
basically,
one.
like 4 cubes that are, uh, for cubes that are okay with the morph text being in their cube, which this one is. I just adore Reality Shift. Um, I think it leads to heightened play moments in a way that most removal spells don't. I mean, literally just like, I mean, this is the perfect cube of it's normally kind of strong, but the possibility of like turning a leveler over or something like that is
Yeah,
just so fun.
it's
I
funny.
have not looked at your list yet
It's funny. My impression of this
enough.
card is just that it is a like commander staple card because for the longest time it was like the only blue removal in commander. I have a weird
Do you
stigma in my head
have
about it.
um the a thing to consider, which was what made me remember this card because I think I scrolled past it. Um, was I wanted to ask you if you are okay with its power level, and I think you would be with the like uh scroll rack sensei's divining top things because it's another way to cheat
Yeah, that's
your
totally fine.
own dreadnought into play, your own leveler
That seems
into
so
play.
hard to line up. If you manage to line that up, great. You
Yeah,
you deserve it. Because you also
yeah.
had to pay a whole creature for the privilege. So you're yeah, that would be fine. I think I said in a previous video, I really wish there were more cards that manifested from zones other than your library. Like, give me
Yeah.
cards that you can like manifest a card from your graveyard or like. I think Scroll of Fate is so sick here. I would wish there were more cards that manifested from hand. It's just perfect.
Scroll of Fate is super fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. What else did I have here? Okay, two super situational cards. I know that you run numerous stifle effects. Um,
Actually,
Trick Bind.
I actually
What'd you say?
don't really run stifle effects right now. Um,
Don't
famously.
Are they in your Oh, okay, okay. They're not in the main board.
Yeah, I like avoided all the stifles so there wasn't the iconic stuff with Dreadnought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, in that case, you probably don't want Trick Bind. Trick Bind,
Yeah. Split
uh,
second also was like I'm not even gonna maybe board this to be honest because I
cool.
love split second and for all the
Yeah,
reasons.
it is out. Okay. This is not actually a card that I think you're gonna want to put in here. I just want more people to remember that this card exists because it's weird. Is Second Guess. It's only ever been printed once. It's a very situational removal
Jesus,
spell.
I've never seen this card in my life.
It is one of my favorite counter spells to put under an Isochron Scepter
Seriously.
because it's, and I don't say that meaning like if I'm actually the player and I'm in my deck right now, that's exactly what I want to have drawn because it's not great. But it's an example of a counter spell that does not work traditionally under Isochron Scepter, because it just makes them play around it. I mean, it's again, I do not think you're gonna put this card in your list,
Probably not, but it's very
but
cool. I like to look at it and think about it.
but it's super fun. You know, the classic version of it is if you're a blue deck that wants to do anything other than just play hard control, uh, it is a colorless blue counter spell for your opponent's disruption.
Counterspell.
You
Yeah, for
know,
protecting your thing you're casting or whatever. Yeah.
I really like that. I really like, for example, uh, in a cube like this that has some, if not deterministic, that does have some 2-card combos that you're often casting on the same turn.
Sure.
You know, it's a colorless blue stop whatever the thing that apparently is not stifle that they're doing to keep that dreadnought in play,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know the list well enough to off the top of my head pull out what another example of that would be. But it's a card that most people don't know that I know that a few people will watch this video and go, oh, that
It's
probably goes somewhere.
I've
So
never seen this card. I'm
joke's
so
on you. I'm
grateful for
recommending
you
that for
showing
other
it to me.
people.
It is so weird. I wonder what it would be like if there was a meta where like you knew this was a card that was present? Like, what if you had a cube with this in multiples? Like, how often do you
Yeah.
just play around this? Is that toxic or fun? I have no idea.
There's some Dan variant out there that
Huh.
would
Oh
make
no,
fun
Dan
use
variant with
of
second guesses. That would be so rough.
a card like
Jesus.
this. Yeah. I'm out here trying to make people's environments worse. But it's just a very clean card for a card that the floor is below ground level.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on. I tried to find a bunch of weird cards that work under Isochron Scepter because they draw you a card as a fail case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but I am going to rattle them all off. You can type them in, see what the card text is, and then this is our like, you're gonna speed date with these cards, and you can just immediately be like,
Lightning
no, I'm not
round.
interested in them. Okay. Number one, cremate.
Yeah, cremate is real. That's a card.
If you like the idea of that for this cube, but end up wanting enough graveyard things that it would be potentially too punishing for just a 1 mana free cantrip, basically. You can run Headstone, which is a card most people have never looked
So
at.
that's a delayed draw one?
Yeah, that's the delayed draw one.
Yep.
You're a sicko who likes weird
That's
art.
right. I knew what Headstone was.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a few cards like this, but the one that I like the most and I think works best in this cube is Scout's Warning. I would run Scout's Warning in a cube like this without Isochron Scepter.
I love Scout's
I
Warning.
just adore that card.
It's very, very cool. I've got it in Sacred Geometry. I love it over there. It's just such a cool card
Okay.
that I think it, like, I will say that my experience playing with this card in other cubes is that I love it, and also it so rarely does anything cool, unfortunately. Like, you dream of all the cool things it could do, and I would say it comes up, like, maybe 5 or 10% of the time.
It is a card where, like, the art is epic, the flavor text is epic, everything about it is cool. You're a white deck that doesn't need to play crazy fast, and you're just thinning your deck. Like, most of the time,
Yeah, you're mostly
it's
just casting it
making
as a cantrip. But I mean, even
most
like
of the time is making your 40 card deck a 39 card deck, and occasionally it does a thing. Which, to be fair, I find that actually very flavorfully fun.
it's like Quicken. You
Almost
know?
every game, you're just like, oh, they cast the thing, they cast the warning card, and it's just in their graveyard, and then once in a blue moon,
I'll
it gets
warn
used.
you
Anyway,
that I'm gonna do nothing. I'm warning you that I'm gonna do nothing.
yeah. Counterpoint to that, doesn't everybody want a dreadnought on their opponent's end step?
I mean, Jane, you know how to get me going. So yes, that will be incredible.
That is an option. Let's see. Most of these are fairly simple. I don't think you'll want this card in here, but Visions of Beyond.
The draw 3 if you have 20 cards in a graveyard.
Yeah, I think it's just too. It's just a not great cantrip that once in a blue moon is crazy good.
I'd be more interested in this card if I felt like it was like a reliable thing you could build around. Like, I'm seeing it, I'm like, this is cool in my Hermit Druid deck, but
Yeah,
the number of times that like that's gonna happen
That's
versus you just cast it for one, or you just happen to be in some deck that can't optimize it, but it's
Yeah.
super late game and you get to draw 3. You know.
also, the only printings of it that are not Therese Nielsen art are either a very cool looking secret layer, but that is a secret layer, or the worst borderless Avatar The Last Airbender reprint that you've ever seen.
I've seen a lot of
So-
bad borderless Avatar: The Last Airbender reprints, so I'm gonna have to go and look at that
Oh my god,
one.
yeah. I think that card on the far left fits your design goals very well. That should go. I think that could be like the splash image for Take 5, honestly. I know that was under contention. Moving on. Given that that card is so provoking, I will jump over to the card Provoke. A weird removal spell
Target creature must
that
block,
also
right?
cantrips, that also is kind of fun under Isochron Scepter. It's not one I think goes in, but it's also a card that most people don't have a bunch of experience with.
You're right on the vibes with Provoke. Provoke is definitely the right vibes.
It's a card. Okay, and now two that. Anyway, I'll just read them.
The
Two
ceiling
arms!
provoke is like
Exclamation point.
real quick. Like
Oh, what were you saying?
provoke is actually like, is it low key kind of powerful? Like,
Oh yeah, no, it's a card that when it's a card that usually is good because worst case scenario, as long as your opponent has any creature, it's just 2 mana draw a card. That's not great, but that basically means that for a green deck it has cycling too.
well, but I mean, compare it to like Prey Upon or something, right? Like
Yeah,
it's basically a fight spell that also cantrips. It's a cantripping fight spell for 2 mana at instant speed.
yeah. The thing that most good Magic players would say is, well, it gives your opponents choices, so it's not good. And that's kind of true. However, as long as this cube stays relatively creature light, it's often not going to be giving them much of a choice. It's going to be that, you know,
Yeah,
um,
I guess the downside is you can't attack with more than one creature if you're comparing it to a fight spell. If you want this one creature to fight that creature, you can't attack with more than one. And the other
yeah.
downside is they could double block. So like, let's say you want your 4/4 to fight their 2/2, they could be like, all right, fine, I'll throw my other 2/2 in front of it. So now you're gonna lose your creature. Where if it was a fight spell, you wouldn't. So it does have downsides. Um,
And one of the things just to keep in mind with it is that uh, it does get exponentially worse the more activated
yeah,
abilities your opponent's
because you can't kill
creatures
those.
have. So, like,
Yeah,
in green, almost all of your green creatures, it's a whiff on because you can just tap the creature and then it's
yeah,
not going to be blocking anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay,
but just
it's
it's
not
an
that good.
interesting
We're right. You're
card.
right.
Yeah. Okay. As a counterpoint to dramatic reversal, two arms! Exclamation point.
Oh yeah, the opposite.
Yeah.
Man, my
It.
Isochron Scepter Kiki Jiki combo deck is gonna go so crazy.
um. It. I don't think. I would want there to be more fun ways to catch out your opponent without Isochron Scepter for this to be in the main board
I
because
haven't
it feels
mentioned
really
it.
bad to pick up that card relatively early as a card that doesn't read as a combo piece. It does just read as a value piece and then not have that much that you can do with it.
Yeah, it's gonna feel
Um,
bad when played completely fairly, and there's probably
yeah,
not a lot of other cool things to combine it with. I will say
yeah.
I haven't brought it up, but another card that I have my eye on for this list that I think I definitely want to try that has a lot of overlap with Isochron Scepter is Sunforger. And all of these white
Oh,
or red
yes.
cards, I'm also looking through the lens, which is part of the reasons I was immediately like, Vengeful Dreams, get in my life, because that
Yeah.
is so cool with Sunforger. Um, all these white and red options, I'm also seeing through the lens of Sunforger, and kind of cool to get to, attack your opponent and then, ambush them. Like, this is a cool card to have in your deck with Sunforger, because you don't have to draw
Yeah.
it, and then you just get to, have it as available to you in your toolbox.
And it again, like Provoke, part of the reason I recommend it for a cube like this one that is being a scrappy desert cube is that as long as the mana base ends up okay, it is just a card with cycling at the end of the
Yep.
day. And I think those are good. I what was I going to say? This is not a cube that is forcing people to feel bad about the fact that Drakehaven isn't doing as well as they want it to. So it's not a huge negative that it doesn't actually have cycling on
I
it.
was going to mention
Um,
Astral Slide. It doesn't trigger
yeah.
Astral
Oh, you do have
Slide.
Astral Slide, but Astral Slide is cute as hell. It doesn't need to be crazy consistent.
It's right now. It's not going to be. I think it's a pretty big trap in the list right now.
Yeah.
But
Right now it's gonna be a trap, but it's also I think gonna be a card where a lot of drafters see it and they're like, oh, Astral Side, that's cute as hell. That's never gonna work, and they pass it on the one sicko who's like, is gonna be able to pull something together with
I
it.
think you would need to
Okay,
combine it with
let me
either
see.
Ret 2
One last
Mystic.
one is Tolarian Winds.
That's the draw cards equal to
It is
the.
the cheap but downsided wheel.
Yeah. Because you're
I
not.
don't know if you want this in here. I have not looked at the cube list enough to know if it actually pulls its weight, but I
I
mean,
think
it's
it's.
a graveyard cube. It's a get rid of
Yeah.
cards you don't want cube. It is not actually a card that like most people would want under Isochron Scepter. It only works under Isochron Scepter well if there are specific things you really need to dig for and you're okay with putting a bunch of resources into that. But given that you do have a lot of, 2-card synergies,
It is a Laboratory Maniac
and
cube.
not a lot of tutors, it's uh, I don't think it's a bad include um in the main board of a cube like this. It's just whether you are able to make space for it, basically.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one is very main deckable.
Yeah.
On the topic, and I have to go kind of soon because I got to go cook dinner,
Well,
unfortunately.
I'm almost done with my cards I had.
Okay, real quick. What do you think of tutors here?
Uh, I, uh,
And I'm thinking specifically of like Mystical Tutor, Enlightened Tutor.
yeah,
I could like
yeah,
give or take Demonic and Vampiric. I don't really care about those as much.
yeah,
Worldly Tutor is also one I'm counting in there. I already
yeah.
have limited scope tutors, like I have Green Sun Zenith, and I have Oswald Fiddlebender and all that kind of shit. So I'm talking more about like those 3 iconic pillars.
Yeah.
Or Gamble. So Gamble in there too.
The problem with them is that on in theory, I actually do like the ways that they work in that they're a lot of decks in this cube will have a single card or a 2-card combo that immediately puts them a notch above other decks when they can get it to work, and I don't want that to ever be too consistent. That being the case, there's not a ton of what's the word I'm looking for? Backup cards for combo
Redundancy.
pieces. There's not a ton of redundancy. I want people to be able to worldly tutor for however you pronounce the mimoplasm, the mimeoplasm.
Mhm.
And I want them to be able to use either worldly tutor or enlightened tutor in order to reality shift their creature into a dreadnought because they put it on the top of their library and then they do. So I really, really want them to be able to do their thing. I would just be cautious on them and be willing to cut them quickly if they, once you were sitting down to games, felt like you were playing a different kind of Magic than this is. Because that's really the main
That's
thing
exactly
for me
my
is vibes. Is
evaluation.
when your opponent casts Worldly Tutor, you're like, oh, okay, well, they get to do the best thing in their deck, and I'm over here, playing around in the mud with whatever my deck gives me. So they might feel like they are invalidating the things about this cube that are fun. But if they don't, I think they're great.
That's kind of exactly my assessment too. And what I'm wondering is, yeah, I think I would be much happier if all of the cards I felt like were supported by having redundancy for the things that support them. So like there's not going to be redundancy for Sundial. Well, there is in discontinuity,
Yeah.
but that's, Sundial you're not going to have redundancy for, but if there's like, 6 different things that Sundial can do and you just have to draw one of them to be like reasonably happy with Sundial, that I think is kind of the sweet spot, which is why I've avoided them up until now. But like I wouldn't want them to be like I worldly tutor for my best creature every game, and my best creature just wins because it's strong. I don't have to like do anything funky with it. That would be bad. But I don't think there's creatures in there right now that would even fit that description, to be honest.
I don't think so. Now that I'm looking at the maybe board, I will say, given how much this cube is wanting to let people do Sundial and maybe potentially Isochron Scepter things, I do feel like it might be worth slapping Tribute Mage into the main board without moving the other ones in. That's the sort of redundancy I'm okay with, where it's a 3-mana 2/2 in a lot of games, and this is an environment where you are allowed to cut a few cards, so you could just cut it if
Yeah.
you didn't pick up one of them.
Yeah, 2 is a sweet spot right now. I wish that one was not one of the ones with the worst art.
I almost commented on that.
Trinket Mage art remains goated. The other ones are pretty bad, but
yeah,
Tribute may be my least favorite.
I think even Trophy Mage has like a cute little promo. Is that Trophy Mage?
Nah, I'll same art for all of them.
I mean, yeah, it just it has the Aether Revolt semi-borderless one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's a little pile in one of my other various little piles of cards in my Magic hutch right now that has that full art promo of Trophy Mage. I think a Scars of Mirrodin foil Trinket Mage, and the also borderless non-foil Treasure Mage, and no Tribute Mage. Because the only reason those cards are there is because I encountered them and was like, I adore these cards, and have them despite not having use for them. I think, oh, they were from Ball Pit back when it let people search their library more.
I
But
also
anyway,
really
I
don't
should
like
get through the
the
very
new
last
one.
few.
The new one is get one 4 or 5, which ruins the whole cycle for me. Like I hate the new one. Have you seen that
What's
one?
that one
I
called?
don't actually know.
Swagless Mage,
Yeah. Oh, search.
Treasure
Oh,
Tribute Trinket
4,
Trophy,
oh, 5 mage. Transit mage, and it's got a fucking
Transit Mage.
guitar.
Uh,
Look at this piece of shit.
yeah, that's not
We
ideal.
used to be a society.
Yeah.
What is
They should have
that?
just gone straight for transgender mage that just lets you search your library
Search your library
for
for any
any
number of genders.
yeah, for yeah. Transgender mage lets you search your library for any card that has awful rules text that doesn't properly, reference the genders of the players and put it into your hand.
Yeah, any card
The
before the they them errata.
Yeah.
The rules change.
Okay, I have 5 cards. Nope, I'm axing one. I
Continue
have
the lightning
four
round.
cards that are mostly just recommendations that you might want to put in either the main board or the maybe board, but that aren't Isochron related.
Okay,
So
sure.
if you
Hit me.
want to have any closing thoughts on that,
Wait,
and then
actually,
I
hold
can
on.
give the.
Can you save those and can we do another video sometime? If they're not Icecon related at all, they're just different cards.
There's only 4 of them, but yes.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we spent almost 90 minutes talking about these, and we didn't even make any
Yeah.
cube changes. Which I'll do a follow up video to this where I actually decide what to
Actually
maybe
make the
board.
decisions. Yeah.
So
I slapped a buttload of cards down.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put Vengeful Dreams back in the maybe board just because I want to put this as the and then get that there. Boop. Yeah, save those. We'll do another video where we talk about other things that interest you about this cube that you have ideas for, because I want to hear them. I'm sure they're brilliant. I love these suggestions for Isochron Scepter. I think as a means of closing, I'm curious to ask what you think of specifically miscalculation under Isochron Scepter.
Yeah, that's a good point. I
kind of don't think it's bad, because if you're leaving 2 mana up every single turn to basically make your opponents play around it, then you're both just leaving 2 mana up every turn. Like
I think what you should do is you should make a Reddit post about how miscalc under Isochron Scepter is symmetrical. Because you have to pay 2 mana and then they have to pay 2 mana. And then
you actually also have to pay
let
2
the
cards.
hive mind figure
It's
out
not even symmetrical
what they
until you've
think.
countered
I think
2
it's
of their
totally fine.
spells. I think it's
Yeah,
fine
I think
too.
it's totally fine. Yeah, it's just an additional tax. Also, just like miscalc should be in this list.
I think so too.
And it's not cripplingly punishing with Isochron Scepter. So also lets you dig for your Isochron Scepter. So
Yeah, I really like Lightning Axe too under Isochron Scepter here. I like Brought Back under Isochron Scepter. I love Entomb under Isochron Scepter. If you can get value out of that with your deck, I'm so into it. I love that.
I did not even get to cards that are already in the list that I think are good with it. Because there are a number of them. I mean, there are honestly right now there are not that many targets.
There's never many. We have to add more to support it, which is part of what this was all about. And I think those flip lands are going to be a key part of that because okay, sorry. One last question. I really do have to go cook dinner. What do you think about Sundering Growth for this cube, regardless of Isochron Scepter?
Sun Growth. That is the hybrid.
The
I can
hybrid.
see things on your screen, but they're small enough that I still look for
It, it's
them
a it's a disenchant
online.
that populates
Oh, yes.
and hybrid.
This is a token light cube. I
It
didn't.
is right now. Let's actually check out real quick what the tokens even are. Um, basically, like if you, I'm gonna ask you to compare that to Wilt and see which one you prefer. And I guess let's go figure out what kind of
Yeah.
tokens we even make. I don't even know. Looks like we're
I
having a
mean,
slow cube Cobra day.
I my short answer to that, since you have to get to dinner, is that I think you should just do a video slash a uh, sit in the tank removal
Okay, Feldon,
thing
Feldon with Sundering
if you
Growth.
haven't yet. Oh, is Felton in here?
Feldon and
That
Kiki are
just makes
both in
sense. Yeah.
here. That's so sick
Um,
with Sundering Growth.
so I didn't answer your question at all. What I should say is that I actually just really really like Populate and wish that it had more of a run than kind of, goofy Return to Ravnica vibes. Uh, but
Yeah, right now
um,
there's basically nothing. We have
yeah,
Goblin Trenches Goblins, we have Westvale Abbey Human Clerics, we have Call the Blood by Vampire Knights, and we have two cards that make zombies. Uh,
yeah.
it would
Is this a cube that you are? Oh, I do see it there. Um, I love that with Godpharaoh's Gift. There's a lot of there's fun things for it. The One of the problems with a card like that, which I will mention in terms of Godpharaoh's Gift, is there are these weird two card connections in Magic where Godpharaoh's Gift and um, that card feel really good when you have them in the same deck. And in a deck that you are in a fair manner getting out a card like Godpharaoh's Gift, it really sucks when your opponent picked up a card that gets rid of it that also would have been one of the ones that you yourself wanted. Um, so I on at face value, I think Wilt is a card that more fits the central conceit of this cube, where you're going to have a lot of cards that you just ban. Um,
mhm.
because Sundering Growth, still, there's a lot of decks that can't even play it. It will have to be. So if Sundering Growth were in here, it would very often be one of the five, I think,
Interesting.
that get taken. If it was not snapped up early because we've leaned so far into the Sundial, Isochron, Dreadnought, etc., being the powerhouses that they are, that any disenchant effect is super powerful. And that's why I was saying that I think you should do um, a whole brainstorming session on that, because I think it is reaching the point where specifically a lot of the most fun, out there, unique things you can do in this cube are being built around artifacts. That's just a thing to keep in mind.
I do want there to be a lot of artifacts, and I want those
Yeah.
cards to be main deckable, which is part of why I don't love Wilt immediately, because I'm like, the whole value of this card is that it is a sideboard card you can main deck, and here I just want them to be main deckable
Yeah.
cards. Um,
I will say, as a cube designer, Wilt is one of those cards that I'm just really tired of, because
uh-huh.
it goes in every cube that wants to do something like this. And
Yeah,
cycling two means that, I'm way more likely to recommend someone cut a card if it's already seeing a ton of play elsewhere.
sure.
Which was part of why I was a little bit excited about Sundering Growth when you mentioned it. Is I stand by that, just like it's not going to be good in a lot of decks, but it will get picked early in any version of this cube like its current form, where artifacts are important. And I kind of like that it's not yet another cube where you just run Wilt in any deck that you have, because you can always cycle it and it's probably good enough that you're not cycling it if you have green.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the cube for the really fringe, like, upside. Like, the fact
Yeah.
that most of the time you're not going to have a token to copy. Who cares? You have a hybrid, disenchant. But every
Yeah.
once in a while you have a Kiki Jiki or a Godpharaoh's Gift or a Feldon, and you get to, like, do something kind of stupid with it. Godpharaoh's Gift is for sure coming in. I am really
Yeah,
excited about that
good.
card here. I just
Well,
haven't gotten to it yet. I got so many things I really want to
yeah.
find space for, and that's one I have not gotten to yet. So,
Something that we could also do is, uh, this is a cube that had some inspiration from Ball Pit. Um, I think it would not be a bad idea to do a video or something about uh, this cube and Ball Pit, because there are some things that I think we both. I mean, you're building your cube right now. I have a lot of changes I want to make to Ball Pit always, and two examples of that are right now. I am considering putting Godfarer's Gift in pretty highly. I have a nice little pre-release promo of it waiting in
Mm-hmm.
my pile to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Because despite not loving the 4/4 zombie thing, it really fits the designs of that cube. And also Ball Pit, one of the big overhauls I need to be doing on it is I want to sit down with the removal package and think about that, especially as it deals to artifact removal in a cube where the artifacts are often the more fun things that you can do. So very,
Yeah.
very long way to say Sundering Growth is cool. And also, I don't have my immediate thoughts on whether I think it should go in this cube or not.
How sick would it be if you had it under Isochron Scepter and you did get to, the first time you cast it, make a copy of like a Kiki Jiki token or whatever, and now every time you cast it, you just get to keep making more copies of the Kiki Jiki token? Would be so sick.
I mean, let's say you stick it under Isochron Scepter and you have out Felden, and you need to have a target in order to cast Sundering Growth. So you make a copy of a thing, and then you win the game because you Sundering Growthed your own Isochron Scepter that it was under because you needed the target just that you could populate.
Please.
Someone's got to do it.
Please, I can't get more aroused. it's
Someone needs
it's
to
so
Sundering
good.
Growth the Isochron Scepter. Like, that is the sort of like edge case win condition that just makes me love Magic. I'm not gonna say it should happen, or that you should allow people.
I'm not gonna say people should be
try to
allowed
make
to do it.
happen, but when it happens, I'm just like, so good.
This has been great. Thank you, Jane. I
Yeah,
do
this was
want
very
to
fun.
try and keep these videos manageable. I think a solid 90 minutes will be good. But I want to have you back if you're down to talk through. There's 4 other cards, which don't tell me them yet. I so desperately want to know, but I'm also going to ask you not to tell me until the video. Which
2 of them are interesting, 2 of them aren't, and we can wait.
okay, well, stop giving me clues. I don't want to know.
It just makes it harder to wait. So
Okay, hold on to those, and then maybe we'll also do a ball pit deep dive if you want to like compare notes on disenchant packages or something. That could be kind of cool.
sounds good.
I guess sound off in the comments below if you want Jane and I to do a video about ball pit packages of removal. Ooh, wait, can you make some sort of face for the thumbnail that's extremely clickbaity?
Oh God, this is take 5. I wish I had any instruments in the house. I could like hold up a bass.
Oh, your base is
Or
all the way
something
in the
like that
outhouse.
that's relevant for take 5. I have no idea. Do you run?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go like this. Whoa!
Oh yeah, I need to do clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not watch enough. Okay, where's my camera? Okay.
Perfect. Nailed it. Incredible. I'm having too much fun making this stupid clickbait.
Actually, hold on.
things.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I know you have to go, but if this will work.
There we go. That's what everyone's here for. The Hilda action. Hilda's so cute.
She is the cutest little kitty. Hi. Say hi, Hilda.
Oh, Hilda. Love it.
Okay.
All right, I gotta go make dinner. Thanks, Jane.
Yep.
Thanks, YouTube.